Good morning and hello to you all. Now, before I start, some of you with very good hearing might be able to hear the fact that I've got a fan going on in the background, and that's because I'm recording this on a hot Sunday morning, and I'm recording this on Sunday, the 21st of June. And we've not got long left in this term, and we're about to start possibly one of the hottest weeks we've ever had on record. And there's a lot to talk about that, which we're not going to talk about right now. We're going to talk about it in another episode, but we're going to talk about global warming and how heat is getting hotter and the summers are getting warmer and we don't have winters anymore. And I'm going to do an episode about that in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned and get ready for that. But before we do that, of course, we need to do episode 9. Now, episode 9, if you remember, and if you've been paying attention, of course, to all the other podcasts, episode 9 is tissues, organs, and organ systems. So, as you should know by now, my name is Simon Shepherd. I am Simon the Science Guy, and these are the Bankside Science Podcasts. I must speak to Tom about some sort of theme tune. We do need a theme tune, I think, because I've been listening to some podcasts, and quite a lot of the really good podcasts have amazing theme tunes. So I think that should be our next job. So maybe I should speak to Tom. Anyway. I'm already waffling, and we haven't even started. So, and we're what? I think we're 3 minutes in. No, 2 minutes in. Fine, good, okay. Now, hopefully, you've been listening to these in sequence, and this part of the sequence, like I say, is about tissues and organ systems. And in episode 3, we talked about cells, and remember that cells are the tiny building blocks of life that make up every single living thing. And what I'm going to try and do is give you a little bit of a snapshot of that episode before we build on to the next episode. So remember that cells, we are full of cells. Cells make up everything. And they are really, really critically important. And your body's made up of trillions of incredibly tiny cells. And each one is alive. Each one has a job. But here's the question I want us to think about today. If your body is made up of literally trillions of individual cells, how do they work together? And how does a collection of tiny separate things become you? The answer is organisation. And today we're going to climb a ladder, the ladder of organisation. I don't know where that voice came from, by the way. Anyway, from cells to tissues to organs to organ systems, because that's how it's going to go up. Cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and all the way up to you as a whole complete organism. So let's begin. So the first rung on the ladder, I guess, is tissues. And tissues, not the ones we blow our noses with, of course, these are a group of cells, and it's the same kind of cell. So imagine imagine millions of cells sticking together and all doing the same job. And that's what tissue is. It's where you've got a clump of cells that all come together and do the same job, organized together in complete harmony. Think about this as a brick wall almost. And like one brick on its own doesn't make a wall, does it? Because you need like a couple of thousand bricks to make a wall. But a whole load of identical bricks laid together side by side makes a wall. And that's what tissue does. Think of the cells as bricks, and think as the wall, the completed wall, as tissue. And your body has lots of different types of tissue. And let me give you 4 really important tissues. The first one is muscle, which is made out of muscle cells, which can contract, which means they get shorter, which produces movement. So your biceps in your arms, your heart, and all the muscles around your stomach are all tissue. Epithelial tissue. Now, these are the ones that line the surfaces of the cavities in your body. So think of the inside of your mouth or the lining of your lungs, for example. Epithelial tissue creates that surface, and it's like a boundary, an internal wall, since we're talking about walls and buildings. Anyway, the next one is connective tissue. Now, this is the stuff that holds things together and supports them. So think tendons and cartilage, and even your blood is a kind of connective tissue. And the final one, number 4, is nervous tissue. Now, you have trillions of nerve cells, and those are called neurons, and they carry electrical signals around your body, nerve impulses. And your brain and spinal cord are made up of nervous tissue to understand the messages. So tissues are a group of similar things working well and working together. So that's the first rung of the ladder. Should we climb up? Let's go to the second rung. So we're now into organs. Now, an organ is made up of different types of tissue, all working together to carry out a particular function. Not just one kind of tissue now, like before, several kinds of tissue, but all completely coordinated, all working together, all synchronized, and all doing their part. And here's a good analogy to think of. Think of a room in a building. Let's say, well, I'm actually in my kitchen. So let's say a kitchen. A kitchen has walls, a floor, pipes for the plumbing, wires for the electricity, a worktop, and lots of different other things. Different materials, different purposes, but they all come together to make a kitchen. And a kitchen does a very specific job, doesn't it? It helps prepare your food, although you need an adult to do that for you. But an organ is just like that. There's lots of different tissues doing all the same job. Your heart, for example, is a great, brilliant example. And if you remember episode 5, we did a whole episode on this. And your heart is an organ. It contains muscles that pump and work and push the blood around your body. Nervous tissue receives signals. Connective tissue is holding it together. Epithelial tissue holds the lining of the chambers in your heart, but they're all different. But they're all working together, pumping blood. So let me now run through some other organs, just so you get an idea of them, a sense of them. And I'm going to do this quite quickly, so just listen and get a reasonable image in your brain. So, number 1, the brain, nervous tissue, controls everything. The lungs, gas exchange, breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide, and we covered this in episode 6. The stomach, muscle, glands, churns up food, releases acid, and it begins digestion. The liver, enormous, dark red, on your right hand side, under your ribs, filters blood, processes nutrients, makes bile. Blech. The kidneys, filters waste products from your blood and makes wee. Wee! The skin, yes, the skin is an organ, the biggest organ in your body. It protects, regulates temperature, and senses the world. So organs are made up of tissue. They all have a specific function, and they all work together. So let's go up to the third rung of our ladder, organ systems. An organ system is a group of organs that work together to carry out one of the body's major functions. And think of them as a team, or a football team if you want, given the fact that the World Cup is on. Each player is an organ. Together, they run one big football match. I want to walk through one system in a bit more detail, and we've talked about this in class actually, the digestive system, because it's a brilliant example, and honestly, once you've got this system clear in your head, the idea sticks. So, the digestive system's job is to break down food and absorb nutrients. Simple enough, but all the organs are involved. If you remember what we did in class, the mouth, where the digestion actually starts, the teeth break up food, saliva adds the enzymes, then it starts to go down your esophagus, and that's a muscular tube that squeezes the food down into your stomach. Then you've got your stomach, which is churning and acidifying, adding the acid. Then you've got your small intestine, where the digestion and absorption happens. And if you coil it, it would be about 6 or 7. Oh, 6, 7, I'm doing 6, 7. 6 or 7 meters long. The large intestine, which is reabsorbing the water and forming your poo. Then you've got your liver and pancreas producing digestive chemicals. And finally, your rectum and anus, which is your exit, your bottom. Now, all of those different organs are all connected, and they're all doing their different parts of the same process. And that is an organ system. Here are some other organ systems that give you a full picture. You've got the circulatory system, which is your heart and blood vessels. You've got the respiratory system, which is your lungs and airways. You've got your nervous system, which is your brain, your spinal cord and nerves. You've got your musculoskeletal system, which is your bones and muscles. You've got your reproductive system. Then you've got your endocrine system, which is your glands and your hormones. And each one is a team. Each team is a system. Third rung of the ladder, done. So, we're now pretty much at the top of the ladder. I know it was a small ladder with only 3 or 4 rungs, but anyway, you get the idea. We've now made an organism. We've now made you, and an organism is one complete living thing. A whole human being, or a tree, or a bee, or a bacterium. All the systems, all the organs, all the tissues, all the cells, coordinated, integrated, functioning together. That's an organism. So let's do the full ladder from top to bottom. Cell, tissue, organ, organ system, organism. Cell, tissue, organ, organ system, organism. Why does that matter? Why does organisation matter at all? Well, here's the thing. A single cell can do a lot. And remember, bacteria are just one cell, and they are remarkably successful life forms. But a single cell has its limits. It can't, for example, pump 5 litres of blood per minute. It can't, for example, process 60,000 thoughts a day. It can't run. When cells specialise, they have specific shapes and functions. They become brilliant at one particular job. A red blood cell, for instance, is shaped like a disc, and it's tightly squashed donut to maximise the surface area so it can carry more oxygen. It's extraordinary at that one job, but it can't divide, it can't produce enzymes, it can't generate electricity. So the trick of complex life is this: specialise, then work together. Be brilliant at your one thing and trust that every other cell around you is being brilliant at theirs. So, today we have climbed the biological ladder of organisation. We've started with cells, which you'll remember from episode 3. Then we moved up to tissues, which are a group of similar cells with the same job. Then organs, which are several tissues working together. Then organ systems, which are several organs running one of the body's big functions. And then finally, organism, the whole thing. The whole you. So remember the key vocab for today, folks. Cell, tissue, organ, organ system, organised, specialised cell, differentiation. Phew. In the next episode, which will be episode 10, remember, we're going to zoom right down again using our microscopes all the way to the microscopic world, and what we're going to talk about is microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Friends or foes? So you're probably going to want to watch that. Not watch it, hear it. But you know what I mean. Anyway. Enjoy the rest of the week. Put lots of sun cream on. Wear a hat. And I'll see you next time.